hope to every Ghanaian, and we'll pick it up from here. So basically, I'm expecting a wonderful program today.
So from the presentation that was done by the Vice President earlier this week, there is the marking or tracking of the government's achievements as having scored some 78%. Obviously, you would agree with that, but what do you say to those who say that the government has not lived up to its promises?
Well, politics, when you are in opposition, and as we have seen from the NDC so far, they appear to be, finding fault with virtually everything that we do. But 2016, when we were campaigning, we made promises to the good people of Ghana, and we are delivering on our promises. So the expectation is that Ghanaians will measure our performance against our delivery, and that will speak for itself. All along, I've personally been saying that we have not started speaking. The moment we start speaking, the moment we start telling our story, the NDC will have no choice than to keep quiet. If they're talking, Ghanaians will do comparison, and then they will know that the promises we made to Ghanaians, we have delivered on our promises, and we will continue. Of course, there are some of them that we have not fully completed. For example, when we say we are doing one district, one factory, you can see that we have created the needed environment for Ghanaians, for businesses, to thrive. So we've done factories at some of the districts. Some of them are completed and they are functional. Some of them are still ongoing, and some of them are yet, to come on board. So we are asking Ghanaians that, considering what we have done so far, which gives hope that we are a party that lives up to our word, we should be given another 4 years to continue. Basically, that is the.
My colleague Nathan has a couple of questions for you.
Hello, sir. I would like to know, following this event, how are you going to ensure that your message reaches every corner of Ghana, especially for those who may not have heard, or for those who are still a little skeptical and have doubts over what the party has done in the last 4 or so years?
Basically, when we are talking about campaign, that is the essence. Unfortunately, this time we have this COVID-19 pandemic that makes it almost impossible for us to rally, to do the mass rallies. So we are looking at doing retail campaign, as in training our people, arming them with the message, then mobilizing the men to get onto the field and tell our story. So in small groups, in town hall meetings, on new media, using the social media and all that. And then, of course, through the traditional media, we will be telling our story. We'll be making references to what we have done. In 2016, we were making promises. Ghanaians at the time have not had the opportunity to experience the work of His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo. Now, as we speak, we have known him. We have seen his work. The testimonies are there. And so we are just going to temporize those references. That is what we are going to do.
Thank you very much.
All right.
So that was the Greater Accra Regional Chairman. We would like to remind our viewers also and listeners as well that this is live on Focus 94.3 FM in Kumasi, and also live on Dasuma Radio in Yendi. So Nathan, that was the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party over there with that with his reflections and expectations as well, essentially, for what will happen today at this Congress or at this manifesto launch family. Let us look at also another issue which has nothing to do with the past. That's what we're talking about before the discussions.
Yes, so like I stated, there will be several addresses from several sectors: economy, creative arts, health, education, and all of that, recapping the things that have been done so far by the government between 2016 and now. So those are the things we'll be hearing, and we've been joined by the
Honourable
Finance
presence of the Honourable Minister for Finance, the Honourable Ken Ofori-Atta. You're welcome to our platform, sir.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, very, very well by grace, sir. It's great. It's great to have you on our platform, sir.
Yes, I'm excited there. Yeah.
Sir. So we would want to find out from you, first of all, what your expectations of this big event is.
I think really the most important thing is a party leads by its manifesto, because in the manifesto is a philosophy and a roadmap to what we expect to give to the people of Ghana and whether we deserve to be voted in or not. Fortunately, because we've had 4 years, the manifesto will constitute a chronicling of what we have done these 4 years, and then a vision for what we are coming to do. So if you look at the way in which we did the mid-year budget, it gave us a sense of what it is, but more on a macro-prudential and fiscal level as to what the numbers have been, and then the work we've done during this COVID period, and then the Obatampa project, to be able to articulate that more forcefully and see kind of the energy that we have, and really to employ our fellow Ghanaians to give us another chance for 4 years, because we will even do greater things with God's help.
Of course, this is it's also going to be a comparative analysis of what has transpired in the next 4 years, the first 4 years, and what government intends to do over the next period, because the manifesto is essentially the social contract that we want to enter into with the people of Ghana. The main candidate that will also be contesting against the MP has also been on the rounds this week. One of the issues he keeps raising is about the matter of the financial sector cleanup and how it has been handled. It's something that will come up. What would be your response to the issues that have come up with regards to how government handled the financial sector cleanup?
I think it's a little difficult, and it's disingenuous for me when I hear that type of talk. And, that's a former president, so you need to give the proper respect and honor. But, we came and met an asset quality review, which essentially said that these banks were bankrupt, and they've been lying on their desks for, over a year. And the hard decision to take was not being taken. I think it's easy to do sort of a Monday morning quarterbacking and say it should have been that, should have been that. No restructuring is perfect, but must it be done? And then I'm unequivocal about that. We're talking, just imagine 4.3 million depositors on the streets. That's anarchy and chaos, okay? And so at this juncture, the banks are much stronger. They have consolidated. Even those who were not strong enough but had a chance, we created a gut to be able to give them money so that we had a Ghanaian representation. I think maybe 98% of the people have gotten their money. Have some people not gotten? Yes. But was that worth, leaving the system to be? If you look at the resilience we have had currently, and given the devastation of the pandemic in the world, there's no way Ghana will be where it is. So I think it's quite easy to take one or two example outliers and decry the policy. But it took courage, and it took, real management of resources for us to be able to be so lackadaisical about the system and still have a strong financial institution. We'll continue to work. The issue for the president is always the Ghanaian first. Would some people not be fully satisfied? It will happen. But what is a community, and what is a country, and what is a republic? And it's those balancing acts that we have to do. So it's a political season. There will be a lot of talk to take advantage of. But I think, 96% of the people know they've gotten their money. And then we'll continue with that. We can't, as I keep saying, just keep looking into Jesus' face and don't worry about the waves.
True. My colleague Nathan, just last question from him.
Hello, thank you very much for joining us, sir. I would like to know how would
So that's a taste of what is happening in Cape Coast. Duke, Mensa Opoku, Nathan Kwa, and the rest of the guys on the ground. And from midday after the big issue ends, we will be in Cape Coast to give you a full broadcast of what is happening there. We'll take a quick break. When we return, the big issue continues. Franklin Kujan, then we come back for round two with Honorable Idrissa Hussaini, Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, and the Honorable Andrew Mercer, Member of Parliament for 2nd D constituency.
comprehensive news. The City Newsroom at 8 p.m. on City TV is your most engaging news bulletin on TV.
It's a very that's too bad. The youth are still throwing stones. They are still throwing stones here into our direction. And can I come in? I want to come in. Okay.
Telling your stories better with correspondents covering every corner of the country.
Getting access to potable water is a daily struggle for residents of Kakicha-Kopi and Balekopi communities in the Ada East district of the Greater Accra region.
City Newsroom at 8 p.m. Very fluent with issues that concern you.
This is quite new conference, Mr. Rabbi. Someone is here, Brett. You told you kind of 1 week. What are you say?
Is it unfair? What all this? What all this? We are dying! We are dying! We are dying for Choco!
With City Newsroom, your community is now connected.
In this our community, all of us, we are very sorry about this school. If we went to see the children, they are so small, even my grandchildren are there, my grands outside there. If they come out from the school, how would this?
Every day at 8 p.m., City Newsroom is live on City TV.
Representing a country is no small feat.
Because in Ghana, the love for Israel is so real, People are nursing it from home, from churches, and then you are walking in such a positive atmosphere and all the doors are open for you.
View the lives of the diplomats in Ghana through their very own eyes and see how they make Ghana their home.
I always loved it. I love the remains of African culture in Brazil. I am very interested in the way Africans were able to, amidst those horrible conditions, they were capable of transforming their African heritage.
Join me, Apioko Sarah Mashong Abe, on Diplomatic License every Saturday at 5 p.m. only on City TV.
Welcome back to the big issue, and welcome as well to those of you who are watching us on television. And keep the messages coming. I've received quite a few discussing the infrastructural debate and also on what is happening in Cape Coast. For those of you who also want to send in messages, 0549 986 996, 0549 986 996, or 0550 585832. Also streaming live on Facebook, on our Facebook pages, City TV and at City 97.3. And I'm having a conversation with the Honorable Nusaf Hussein, Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Honorable Andre Japamesa, MP for D constituency, and Franklin Kujo, President of Imani Africa. And Franklin, you were making a point, please continue, on what you thought about this sudden interest in an infrastructural debate from the MPP side.
Well, as I was saying, I mean, the informal, analysis would have been that the optics of it showed that they were chasing after the NDC. But look, at the end of the day, every government decides at its own choosing when it wants to account to.
Okay, so a bit of an internet hitch with Franklin on the Zoom line. We'll get back to him when that is fixed. So let me come back in studio then. And Honorable Mesa, Honorable Nusaf Hussein in his opening statements has debunked some of the assertions that had been made with regards to numbers. And he says he will go into details. He will give us parliamentary documents on some of the things that the NPP is claiming. And he says he's ready. Let's do 4 years on 4 years. Let's do Mahama 4 years. Let us do Akufo-Addo 4 years.
I'm happy to do 4 years Mahama, 4 years Akufo-Addo. But in doing so, I would only hope that they are candid and honest and not include 4 years of President Mills as part of the conversation. Because that is what all the issues that they've raised border on. When it suits them, compare Mahama and Akufo-Addo. Then they make pronouncements on projects that clearly started in the Mills era. Which then when you draw their attention to, then they tell you that, well, former President Mahama was vice president at the time. So, at all times, they would be hitching on an 8-year record against a 3.5. And you heard him. The kinds of things that he mentioned, the cost of the facilities that they've contracted and what it is that the NPP has done. And of course, he fell in the same trap that I accused them earlier of. That if you suggest that a government has borrowed 168 million and there's nothing to show for, obviously, you sit in parliament and you know as a matter of fact that every single loan that has been contracted is directed at specific projects. For instance, you've approved a loan for the reconstruction of the Shama and La General Hospital. Okay, work has commenced. The facilities have been drawn down, but the projects are not complete. You account for it in the 168. You approved the abandoned 40-year-old maternity block at KNUST. Huge project. It is part of the 168, but the project is not complete. You talk of the urology and nephrology center at KNU Korle Bu, part of the debt, but the projects are not complete. So how do you then turn around? And there are several Bekwai Hospital, water systems, educational infrastructure, including universities. You know, as a matter of fact, that many of these projects are not complete. Just like when you started UGMC during your first term, that wasn't complete until your second term, that you claim credit for the second term president. So how do you do the analysis?
But isn't that a problem for our governments to solve, in the sense that one way or the other, somebody will start something.
I agree.
Complete. It is the nature of our politics.
I agree.
Share credits then.
The military hospital in Afari that you mentioned was started by President Kufuor as part of the Eurojet project. It's a matter of fact.
No, it was not started.
It is. I have the list here.
No, it was not started.
Please. Senior.
It was not started, but it was part of his plan.
Part of his plan.
Yes, so here we are. So here we are. Why not agree to share the credits?
We share. We don't share.
These Eurojet projects, Ashanti Regional Hospital, Sewua, Upper West Regional Hospital,
yes,
district hospitals at Kwabenya, Chofopraso, Konongo, Dumasi, Nkoko, Tepa, Salaga, Boga Regional Hospital, military hospital at Afari, police hospital expansion. All these were commenced by President
Kufuor. They were not commenced. They were not commenced. Please. No.
Hold on. That's what I'm saying, that we must agree on this.
Many of which you abandoned over the 8-year period. You never completed them until this government comes and has completed the Upper West Regional Hospital at Wa. Okay? And the Kwabenya one, the Chofopraso and others at various stages of completion. So you can argue that government has contracted 160 stages of completion, and can further argue that maybe when you had opportunity to be in government, you finished some of the projects within 4 years. I don't have a problem. But the fact on the ground really is to the effect that many of the projects that President Mills started, and I listed some here, you completed them during the Mr. Mahama era, second term. And is claiming credit as those facilities being achievements of President Mahama. So what happens to the legacy of Professor Mills? completely consumed purely on account of you wanting to do politics. And to suggest that Mr. Mahama in his 4 years achieved more than every other government in history. Is that factual? It's not. Okay? And so let us not do the kinds of things that we do and accuse or make comments that clearly are unfounded, that somebody has borrowed without showing anything for it. When you know that unless you can establish that these funds are diverted, project-specific loans are directed at those projects, and those projects are taking place as we speak.
But the point that he is making is that, well, they took 54 billion and spent a certain amount of it on infrastructure that is tangible. You've taken 160 billion, spent even less of that 160 billion on infrastructure, and are still touting infrastructure as a major achievement.
You see, if you look at the facts, it doesn't support the assertion that he makes.
Well, we'll get him to us.
Because there are several streams of income that comes to the state. Okay? Loans that are contracted for specific projects are used for those projects alone. You cannot divert them for other purposes. Unless, of course, maybe when they were in government, there were a few instances of funds that were contracted, particularly for the Pualugu Dam that they diverted into the Eastern Corridor roads. Okay? Because at the time, they were of the view that some feasibility had not been completed and that they couldn't wait for the feasibility to be done before they applied the funds. So they diverted it into the Eastern Corridor. Okay? Unless, of course, they can demonstrate that this government has done the same. But there's no proof to that effect. So I'm saying that you cannot say in one breath that government has borrowed when these funds are directed at specific projects and say that there's nothing to show for it, when you cannot also prove that those funds have been diverted. They go to those projects, and I've listed some here, okay, that are at various stages of completion. Okay, now, you see, what the Vice President sought to do was to deal specifically with the projects that this government has commenced from all revenue sources, including loans, and indicated that, look, these are small community problems and projects that government has done, some of which are complete, some incomplete. These are major projects that this government is doing, some complete, some not complete. And that clearly, all the things that the NDC is saying that the MPP over the past 3.5 years have gotten so much revenue with nothing to show for, cannot be supported with the work that we have done on the ground, as per the website that was created, highlighting all the infrastructure in the region of some 17,334 that this government have done.
But I'm looking at, for instance, health. Some of the projects are crossover projects, are they not? So the ongoing construction of District Hospital in Fomena, that transcends the government. It comes from
but of course, when you go into the detail, okay,
the summary, District Hospital,
the summary you will find. But when you go into the detail, it indicates clearly projects that were inherited and projects that we have commenced and the status of all. Because the commitment of this government to the people of Ghana is that, look, to the extent that these projects, resources of this country were used to commence them, there's no way that they will be abandoned.
Okay.
Of course, there's been some delay because of some investigations that are taking place relative to Saglame and those other places that you can make reference to that the projects have not been completed. Okay, but by and large, and I have a list of all the health infrastructure that the NDC started, okay, that this government is continuing. And the facilities that they abandoned that had been started by President Kufuor, that is also being continued, plus new projects that this government is doing. It's all been accounted for in the document that was put out last 2 or 3 days ago.
I'm interested also in the water and sanitation infrastructure summary, because that seems to be where a lot of projects have been done. 5,505 in total, boreholes with hand pumps. And
that's right. You live in a city, and so you have the luxury of flowing pipe-borne water. During the break, I saw a clip that you showed on your screen. Human beings sharing water with animals. that is the reality of the situation of some of our compatriots. And so I was particularly sad when I saw on social media the NDC, some members of the NDC, rubbishing some of the things that clearly impact many of our compatriots on the ground. It's sad. People don't care about circle interchange. They don't care about Obechebi interchange because they've never been to Accra. They need basic water. They need basic toilet facilities. People go to the bush, get bitten by snakes. At night, they cannot. You have the luxury of water closets. So, projects of this nature that go to support the underprivileged, our compatriots who are in need. If you think you sit in Accra and rubbish it because you drive in Land Cruisers, well, you can state that position. But we, as a government, believe in inclusive growth. We think that is important. Hence, the establishment of the IPEP, Infrastructure for Poverty Eradication, that we need to go down to the communities where their needs are not what Accra or people in Accra, Kumasi, Sekondi, Takoradi need, but rather resolve those little problems in those communities so that we can bring all our people out of poverty. And that's exactly what it is that we showcased. But loans that are contracted for major signature projects that go to Parliament for him and I to consider and approve are there. And if you look in the document, you see major projects that are commencing, including the dualization of my road from Parkground roundabout through Efian Quantum Hospital through to Adiambra Road to RCC in Sekondi. The water expansion project that is going to happen in the Western region. The Takoradi Market Redevelopment Project that has commenced with phase 1 of Market Circle. I can speak to my constituency. Okay? These are matters of fact. Okay? The people of Injamogo came who have to cross the street and go and use the seashore would appreciate a 12-seater toilet that government is putting up for them. So you can sit in Accra and poo-poo it. But we know the value of what it is that the beneficiary communities, okay, are deriving from these kinds of projects that you choose to laugh over.
Well, I doubt they are choosing to laugh.
But of course, unless of course you are not following social media.
Well, I don't give too much credit.
But you should. You've heard your national communications officer, Sami Jenti and Co.
They haven't said it on my platform.
Well, but of course, your platform is not the only platform in this country.
I know.
Your favorite platform that we all listen to.
That's why I haven't heard them.
So it's important that you put the issues in proper perspective so we all can appreciate where we are.
Okay.
Are we rubbishing some of the things in their town hall meeting? Some of the things that are we rubbishing it?
Well, the NDC has had different persons
they don't belong there.
Speak about it. Why don't they belong there?
I'll give you an example. He was citing this constituency. In my constituency, I built 4 toilets, 4 20-seater toilets as member of parliament for the Tamil Central constituency. 4. They never made it to the regional list. The regional list of
Did they put it in the green book?
They didn't even get to the regional list, let alone to the green book. Position. A member of the tender committee of GetFund. I lobbied GetFund to build a day nursery, modern day nursery. It didn't make it to the green book. It didn't make it to the regional list. Mahatalia, 3 classroom block. Queen Elizabeth, store building. Store building. The basic school was changed into a store building, and a day nursery was added. It never made it.
Look, your choice. Not ours.
No.
That's your choice. You choose to present what it is that you've done to people in a manner that
listen. If you say we are rubbishing it, if you say we are rubbishing it,
I've had comments on social media.
You say no. I'm not. This is not social media platform.
Executives of your party.
I will encourage you to desist from referring to social media. That's what somebody did and brought social media to parliament.
You go.
I will encourage you to desist from.
Make your point.
Now, you see, those projects, I'm sure, I don't know of Sekondi, but member of parliament for Sekondi might also have lobbied some parastatals to do projects there, because that is your mandate.
Absolutely.
To service the people. So when those mundane, ordinary projects, which are done for the purposes of relieving the pain and suffering of the people, then you organize a platform with the taxpayers' money to showcase those projects. That is why nobody's saying that they are not important. Kulkul School, since it was built by the Christian missionaries, had never had one classroom block. I added a classroom, 6 classroom blocks, and turned the school into a GSS. But I never made it. Do I say that? I mean, building a GSS or 6 classroom block is unnecessary?
Not to interject, but Godfrey,
I'm listening.
Is it the case that the Vice President listed all 17,334?
I said that if we are going to list. No,
he just gave a speech, highlighted key interventions, and then directed the people of Ghana to go and look at what it is that has been done.
I'm talking about key interventions of the Vice President. I'm not talking about anything else. The Vice President said building toilets is key intervention.
Is it not?
Well, that's what the Vice President said.
Yes, it is.
That's what I'm saying that it is. So the MPP thinks that when you build a sensitive toilet, it's a key intervention.
Okay.
And you have just confirmed it. And I'm saying that it's mundane.
Why?
Because that is your basic requirement. That's your basic responsibility. If the government can say those are its key requirements, what would the district assembly say? What will the assemblymen even say? Your key requirement, well, God save us. And the 2 water systems through the intervention of Sahara. They are not key interventions. Now, but all in all, even the list,
interchange is, right?
Even the list that you presented, you said you had built 120 low-cost houses in Talensi. People have gone to fact check. There's nothing there. In fact, you've even appropriated a project done by Rotary International, or what is it?
The Rotary Club.
Rotary Club. It's your key intervention.
I haven't seen any.
But you have in Cape Coast, in the central region or western region.
If you look at Ghana's data on open defecation.
Oh, well, I'm not talking about open defecation. Everybody's fighting.
If a government puts up 5,000 plus
toilets,
facilities to deal with this, it is not a bad problem.
I'm not saying it's a bad problem. And so that's a key intervention.
But don't mention it.
No, that's a key intervention.
According to them.
No, that's a key.
They didn't put up 1, 2, 3.
No, that's a key. That's a key intervention.
It should be key.
Well, by the standards of MPP, they are keys.
No, these are global standards.
No, they are not global standards.
They are global standards.
Who is global standard? Give me a global standard.
The open defecation.
You know, in the Upper East region, Upper East region, Northern region, and Upper West region, as previously constituted, how many toilets were built to deal with open defecation?
Yes. And you've been doing very well in the district.
So even sanitation, the improvement in sanitation, the records.
Yes, Nanton, for instance, and other places have been doing really well.
They were not key interventions.
They were key.
But
if they were not key, they were not measured.
Were they not the functions of government? Were they not the functions? Did we have to tout it as a key intervention?
Why not?
Well, so we didn't think that we needed to touch because we were just servicing the people.
That was an option.
You understand? So there's a Western region or Central region have come out to say that they said they had built 500 units and provided 1,800 jobs. So is Elenble, who are demanding an apology from the president. In their town hall meeting, they had said that they had established an oil palm factory over there. Nothing to show. Nothing is there like that. Now, so if you mix deceit, calumny, and lies into what you call your key achievements, the people are going to expose you. Clearly, they are going to expose you. And that is what we have seen. Look, in their haste to talk about key, and I'm surprised. He talks about the dualization of the Tekrade Road. When did it start? So that's an achievement of this government. In one vein, he said that we shouldn't approve it and reprove it. And he's doing exactly that. Exactly that. You understand? The PTC, talk about the PTC and the Sana Hydro. When did it start? When was the design made? When was it? Even thermal interchange that they claimed, when was the design made? When did it start?
Started under Dr. Mahama?
I, as minister, did the design. And we call it Rivoli Interchange. Go back and look at my...
And you are certain it is the same...
It's the same thing.
That's being
the
done.
Same. There's no change. I called it Rivoli Interchange. Go and look at my November 2016 Meet the Press. In fact, 35 million that the original EPC was the amount of money we were taking from Exim Bank. That was the cost of the project. But the Exim Bank facility was a commercial facility, and then we were under IMF conditionalities. That's why we couldn't take it. The same thing. It takes more than 2 years to conceive, design, and execute a project. A major project like the interchange. Now you talk about policy failure and we ran to the IMF. Just recently, the minister came to Parliament to tell us that the COVID-19 had exposed the vulnerabilities in the economy.
Yeah.
In fact, he even added that COVID-19 had challenged the basic assumptions in his budget.
Yes.
So he ran to the World Bank, he ran to development partners and got $100 million.
Yeah.
He didn't stop there. He extended his long arm into the stabilization fund and took $275 million. He didn't stop there. He went back. We were looking for policy credibility. We took cumulatively about 900 million for that duration. $900 million from the World Bank. He went back in one fell swoop and took $1 billion from the World Bank. He didn't stop there. He ran to the Central Bank of Ghana and took 10 billion Ghana cedis. Now, all this expenditure were out of budget and expenditure.
That's not true.
Oh, which one? Tell me which one was budget.
No.
You mean that you anticipated COVID and then you budgeted for them?
No. The 1 billion from the IMF wasn't expenditure.
Oh, what?
It was relief that was...
Yes, relief. Hold on. What relief?
Please.
What relief was that?
Listen.
It was a rapid relief because you had demonstrated that you were losing a lot of revenue by COVID-19.
Yes.
So
what is a global problem? Was it not?
Oh,
I'm just saying.
I said that he came to Parliament. He said it was not bad. It was an expenditure.
No, it wasn't.
Well, what did you say?
I said it wasn't an expenditure. You said it was budgeted expenditure. I said no.
What was it?
Let's do it.
No, what wasn't the Wait. What was it?
It was to shore up the revenue that was not coming in because of COVID. And to enable us meet the expenditures that we had programmed.
So if you show up expenditure, it's not for expenditure.
You show up revenue.
If you show
because
up
revenue, you're not getting revenue.
Please. If you show up
all your receipts were impacted.
If you show up revenue, it's not expenditure.
How is showing up revenue
expenditure from MPP?
Okay.
Because if you have made a budget and you have shown your income and expenditure,
you have 2 minutes to
and your income is falling by reason of COVID, and you go for 1 billion, it's not expenditure. What is it?
It's revenue.
For what?
To meet the expenditure. Can you meet the revenue to meet the expenditure?
We'll take a quick break. The big issue. We'll be right back.
Whoa. What's going on, babe?
Have you heard of Wheel of Fortune?
No, what's that?
Register on betplanet.com.gh. Select Wheel of Fortune and win a prize.
What? Wait, I'm just gonna win a prize because I'm new?
Yes, but to win a prize, you only deposit 10 Ghana cedi.
Before I win, I have to pay?
Really? So you're comparing 10 Ghana cedi to an iPhone, an iPad, 25,000 Ghana cedi. Eh? Would you me a drink? Okay, then spin. Wait, we are rich.
Welcome back to the big issue. I'll be taking a couple of messages and apologies. We will hear from Franklin. We are having a bit of a technical issue there, but that situation has been resolved. And also, don't forget, we are checking in every once in a while with our colleagues in Cape Coast, because once the big issue ends, we will be there full blast to give you all the speeches from the various personalities as the MPP launches its election 2020 manifesto. I think we've heard parts of what they will say from Tuesday, but we'll see what else it contains. And Duke Mensa Opoku is in the central region with Nathan Kwan and the rest of the team to give us that particular update. If we are ready, we'll go back to Duke and catch up with them. But just before that, Franklin.
I'm here.
Oh, Franklin, apologies and thank you for the patience. Technology has not been our friend today.
No, I have unlimited patience. Thank you.
Yes. So now you can put all your points together.
Well, first of all, I think the season calls for these kinds of enlightened tango, the one that we are experiencing right in the studio, and I think this is friendly. But I think that these are serious matters of state and serious matters of development. I think at the heart of the matter is essentially not trumpeting what one may have done better or not, but essentially how they actually got around doing it, and then how they got around doing it, and what resources they are deployed to do that. I think it's crucial, and what impact these interventions ultimately have had on the people. It is very crucial. I mean, one of my disappointments is that Imani does not have the extensive resources to conduct an impact assessment of the manifesto promises. So what we do is just an output assessment. But we try. I mean, sometimes when you read the manifesto, the output assessment, you tend to see references to policy, which tells you, for instance, that if the NPP had promised a double-digit GDP rate before the pandemic, they were not going to attain any of them, even though they had attained a creditable, GDP, and they were on their way to almost attaining a 7.2% GDP. That is impressive. You would have seen, for instance, that the whole idea of boosting the private sector, for which they made certain promises, right? Like relaxing the taxation rules and indeed trying to store up the fortunes of either to, bankrupt companies or factories, or either to trying to sanitize the banking environment. All of that do matter. But then when I juxtapose that against our performance of the Doing Business Index report, when I see that from 2016, when we were at 112 or so, and then in 2017, we jumped to 120, and then we came down to 114. And in 2019 and 2020, we are making 118 on the Doing Business Index. I don't see the connection between these interventions and then the activation of the productive sector to encourage, the blossoming, the human flourishing that we want. So I'd like to see, for instance, going forward, what exactly the NPP would have meant by moving away from taxation to production. I'd like to see it in concrete terms. I think there are patterns you see and read from Baumia's presentations most of the time when it latches onto the whole construct on digitization, which is very useful. I think the digitization agenda is a useful one. Unfortunately, there's been some rather sluggish movement towards actualizing all the full gates, particularly because the Ministry of Communications has been one of the culprits that is slowing the process down by its rather difficult licensing regimes. So it's making it difficult for the private sector to take up, for instance, spectrum licensing, and then utilize the fiber optic opportunities we have in the country to have aided the NPP's own promise in their manifesto that they would ensure that many of these SHS schools will be connected to a Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, that has not happened, only because the private sector has not been encouraged in order to take up the opportunities that exist. Whereas our peers in Kenya and East Africa, and my good friend Godfrey, you know this, you were an editor in East Africa. You saw what East Africa could do with boundless digitization and efforts within the internet space. A pale shadow of that. And I think that if a manifesto that is going to launch us into another trajectory is not anchored on the private sector optimization opportunities, and then actually going ahead to ensure that it is done with less suspicion, we'll be running in circles. I want to see our performance on the Doing Business Index come down drastically, because the object of those governments, which we all supported, is to ensure that Ghana becomes the preferred destination for investment and for trade. It is instructive that the government already has chalked the success of hosting ACTA here. But I think it behoves on us to ensure that we do well on starting the business, enforcing contract, resolving insolvency, payment of taxes, trading across borders, dealing with permits and property registration, because these are the things that actually make it very difficult or otherwise to start a business. You know, I was mortified in, I think, last 2 years when I found out that Somalia beat us to it when it comes to enforcing contracts. And I joked with my team that Somalia could only trump Ghana because they enforce contracts with guns. Now, because clearly speaking, I mean, to think that God-forsaken country like Somalia, I know there are people who worship God there, but to think that that country would have done better than Ghana when it came to enforcing contract was sad. And it speaks to the issue about the land cases. And Honorable Husseini will tell you that when he was land minister, I'm sure he came face to face with the hydra-headed problem of Ghana's development, which all sit on land cases in our courts. Even when you've gotten judgment, it's so difficult to enforce. 60% of our cases in the courts are all land-related. You can never progress as a country when you do not have a proper land reform agenda. There's no way you're going to do it. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, we met with the officers, senior officers, and secretaries of the Lands Commission, and we did pour our hearts out. You know, I trained in the way as a land economist.
Yeah.
And I know the problems. They know the problems. I think that government knows the problem. In fact, when we met Baumia a couple of days ago on Wednesday, we did talk about that. And he seems to be on top of the issues. I think that we need to start looking at the resource, the eggs that will lay the chickens that will lay the hens that will lay the golden eggs. The way to grow the country is not in sloganeering. One this, one that, one this, one that. In fact, now we have a festival of freebies, because for all you know, the NDC is waiting and has been waiting in the saddle to start promising things. In fact, they are actually now begging for forgiveness for things they had done right when they decided not to pay the teacher allowances, for instance. I mean, I thought that was Mohammed's, one of the trump cards for Muhammad, who said in 2016, if paying teacher allowances will take me into opposition, then so be it. Now, you see, he's abandoned that ship because he can't just make any sense out of the freebies that are likely to be unleashed on us. So he needs to take cover and start begging for forgiveness that, okay, no, when I come, I'll pay teacher allowances. The question really, all of them, whether $10 billion infrastructure fund, Agenda 88 hospital, plus another 11, plus another 11, plus the sorts that my good friend, the president, is cutting all across the place like confetti. If he's doing all of these things, I think the crucial question would have been, what exactly is the resource envelope? What's the fiscal space? And that is the reason that for Imani undertaking the manifesto, because we keep asking questions. We know countries could not be run like corporate entities, but at least, you know, since we started this manifesto enterprise, we've seen a very good climbing down from very high octane spin promises. For instance, in 2008, somebody promised to generate electricity by suspending permanent magnets into the atmosphere. You know, another person said his agriculture policy would thrive on growing a lot of donkeys in the northern part of Ghana, so their dung will be used in fertilizer agriculture. I mean, we've done well. At least some debates have caused the NDC and the NPP to do some costing, to do some quantitative analysis of their promises. But we beg, because we now say you should quantify things, please stop building castles in the air, because what it means is that at the end of the day, you come into office or you stay in office and realize that, oh, time is up. I'm not able to do one district, one factory all over the place. Or maybe I need to pivot the one district, one factory agenda to helping struggling industries. If I had the president not long ago, I think yesterday, on Cape Coast FM, I think, and the lady interviewer is a great interviewer. I mean, she did a lot of great, I thoroughly liked the interview. You know, I think he asked the president, well, about Commander Sugar Factory. Don't forget, we advised the NDC that we needed not less than $90 million to start Commander. And you needed 1,000 hectares of a land area to grow sugarcane. Well, they didn't mind. They said it was ready. Spent up to $5 million. And then within a month, the whole thing came crumbling down. Come in the NPP. The president said, well, they were going to revive Commander. In fact, the trade minister, Lanchamanti, was heartbeat that we'll revive it and shame our opponents. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened. Because again, you need to go back to the drawing table, which the president said yesterday in an interview, that we need to go back to the drawing table. Then I asked myself, who advised the president to say, I'm going to revive Commander, and then boldly claim to the people of Commander that you get the sugar factory back, when the economics of it had not been done? One of the things I cringe about in this town is that we also tend to externalize most of our solutions. And here I'm putting my good friend Ken on the spot. I know that it is good to seek ideas from elsewhere. But, you know, there are a lot of ideas in this town. And I think if we sat together and, you know, thought a lot of things through, we could make a significant headway. It is not rocket science to grow this country's economy. If there'll be patience, at least from the electorate. But that patience can only be guaranteed when you stop sloganeering your way into office. Because when you do that, you're actually telling people that the money is there. We know how to get the money. You know, so I think that I want to see the NPP's manifesto. I know I'm dovetailing into the next conversation.
Yeah.
The point really is that, look, it is time. It was time yesterday. It's not this whole debate and fight over toilets and fight over infrastructure, unfortunately, is unnerving. Look, we think infrastructure is important, but when you look at the manifesto scale, which is in keeping with modern economic development analysis, the OECD, for instance, suggests that the economy and governance of any country are the two critical factors that matter. And indeed, infrastructure matters. But when we were weighting when we were applying the various weights, we gave economy 25%, governance 25%, infrastructure 20%. We do realize its impact. But you see, it's about time that the infrastructure debate moved from Minamiye, I did it, to how can I partner, you know, the corporate world to be able to do it, to maintain, first of all, sustain the infrastructure, and then secondly, make sure that government is not needing too much money, borrowing and then not maintaining the infrastructure. And so I see that there are a lot of synergies between the two parties in terms of what they want to do for us. Unfortunately, they have become like the proverbial governments that my good friend Larry Reid talks about. That any government that promises you everything you want is big enough to promise you. Any government that is big enough to promise you anything you want is big enough to take back everything you want. You may be paying back in one way or the other. All these debts that are being attracted, which has now become a debt iceberg, you pay in one way or the other. So, well, let's enjoy the freebies while they last, but let's also let's come to the table and I'm enjoying the freebie. I mean, my electricity, I've seen the growth, and I'm saying to myself, oh yeah, I mean, I know that we are not paying realistic economic rate for electricity, but here am I. How can I do? I was part of a bracket. They said enjoy. Can I go and tell the state that cut me out? I'll enjoy it. But I'll be the same person coming back to you to tell you, my friend, until you start paying utility in realistic rate, productivity will never grow in this country, because that's the only way you can do take and pay, whatever pay. At the end of the day, if you do not focus on the very fine details of, shoring up productivity through relaxing, should I call it, some of these freebies that we enjoy, it will be a problem. And that leads me to the first 2 points I'll make. One on the PURC.
Okay.
I want to be able to see that the two manifestos.
Oh, then Franklin, wait. Franklin, you are going too far. You're already doing that.
No, there's a reason.
No.
There's a reason I'm saying this.
No,
let me land.
We will get to the manifesto conversation.
Okay, well, fine. But then let me just end on this note and say that on paper, in terms of managing the economy, our manifesto assessment is showing that as of 2015, when the NDC had been assessed, its 2012 manifesto had been assessed, the economy was in ICU. In fact, they had managed only 36% by 2015. When we assessed the NPP in 2019, the economy was 54%. Not entirely in ICU, but people were not having the reflection that they wanted in their pocket, which tells you that we are still up in the skies. We need to do a lot more, and macroeconomic numbers alone do not matter, but the real economy matters. I'll yield my time to the next conversation.
Thank you very much, Franklin Cudjoe. Let me just take a couple of messages and then we can move into the next part of the conversation. I'll give closing remarks on this particular topic to Honorable Inusa and Honorable Mensah, and then we will move to debate and then the NPP manifesto. A couple of messages that have come through. Good morning, Mr. Akoto. Let's not help the NPP to tout mediocrity. Ghana is seen as an advanced country in West Africa. We do not like to see documentaries made by Western media houses that show us as poor. We can't agree with that and allow a government to display toilets and urinals as an achievement. Ghana is better than that. Is the NDC saying they didn't inherit any project and funding from the Kufuor administration? This is incredible, says Yao in Achimota. Babamu for Abuabo says the infrastructure development of this government is far better than the NDC's first term in government. The candidate Mahama has forgotten he wants to organize the building of infrastructure and praising yourself amounts to mediocrity. So what debate is he calling for? Godfred, the Kaswa-Nyanyano Road is not under construction, contrary to what Baumia said. We, the people of Gomoa East, are not happy with this particular one from Mawunyo Kumashi in Nyanyano. So keep the messages coming, 0549 986 996 and then 0550585832. We will enter the final phase of our conversation, but again, we'll do another check on what's happening in the central region, and then we will continue our conversation with Honorable Inusa Hussaini and Andrew Ejapa, Mensah, Member of Parliament for 2nd D constituency.
TV, and we are giving you the live coverage of the launch of the NPP's Election 2020 Manifesto, the document that they will be presented to Ghanaians to get their mandate again for the next 4 years. My name is Nathan Kwao, and we are in Cape Coast at the University of Cape Coast. We are on the campus. Behind me is where the event will be happening. My colleague, Duke Mensah Opoku, is in there. Let's cross over to him to get a feel of how things are panning out in there as the NPP prepares to launch its 2020 election campaign manifesto.
Your Excellencies and gentlemen, today we have gathered here once again to launch another well thought through and transformational manifesto that will guide the MPP in the management of our country for the next 4 years. Your Excellencies, at our 2016 manifesto launch, His Excellency, the President, then the flag bearer of MPP, made a profound statement about the importance of manifesto. He said, a manifesto represents for me a solemn social contract between the electorate and the elected. The manifesto should also help the electorate to distinguish between the various political parties, because the plans and programs they set out will be influenced by ideologies and beliefs. He concluded that we of MPP have always taken manifestos seriously, because we believe politics is a serious business and action for mandate of the people to govern is a serious business. Indeed, the performance of MPP government since assuming office and taking charge of our beloved country provides abundant evidence that we take our manifesto seriously. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, from education, health, agriculture, job creation to infrastructure aspect of the economy. Your Excellencies, it is our hope and prayer that having delivered our promises to the good people of Ghana, they will, on December 7th, re-elect the MPP and His Excellency President Dankwa Akufo-Addo to continue the transformation of our beloved country. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we in the Central Region are very happy to have been chosen as host for the launch of the 2020 manifesto. The Central Region has always played a significant role for the MPP right from the beginning of the party politics, back in the days of UGCC, and more particularly in recent times during the Fourth Republic. Your Excellencies, our performance in Central Region has grown consistently, and every time the party has won the elections, the Central Region has been at the heart of action. Indeed, in the 2016 election, the MPP won 19 out of 23 constituencies in Central Region. It is therefore most welcome decision to launch our manifesto for the next 4 years in this beautiful city of Cape Coast, the capital of Central Region. We are confident and fully assured that the great elephant family will proceed from here with one vision and purpose: to work tirelessly to retain power. And I assure you all that the Central Region will lead the way. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Regional Chairman. Mr. President, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This is the launch of the New Patriotic Party manifesto. Leadership in service. Put your hands together once again. This program is beamed live across the world, and especially on all radio stations across the country, all TV stations across the country, live on New Patriotic Party's Facebook page, and Zoom with all the numbers giving out already to all diplomatic missions, all groupings, institutions, associations across this country. Mr. President, a few acknowledgements. Ladies and gentlemen, the national chairman of the party is here with us. Let's applaud him. Put your hands together for the national chairman, Mr. Freddie Blay. The General Secretary, Mr. John Boydu, is also with us here. And of course, all members of the National Council of the New Patriotic Party, which is the second highest decision-making body. Let's wave, let's wave, let's wave for all National Council members here seated. The senior minister is here with all ministers of states. Put your hands together for all ministers of state here present. The Honorable Chief of Staff, the one and only Madam Frema Osei Opari, is also here. Of course, we have a few of our chief executives also in the house. Please put your hands together for all of them. The majority leader, Osei Chairman Sabonsu, is seated with all members of parliament. Please put your hands together for all the members of parliament. We have the chairman of the Council of Elders of our party and all members of the Council of Elders of our party here present. Please put your hands together for all members of our Council of Elders of the party. The national officers, National Treasurer, First, Second Vice Chairman, Samia Uhu, and all his organizers. Please put your hands together for all of them. Osaberima Kwesi Atta II is the Omaihini of the Ogwa traditional area. A round of applause for Nana and his delegation. And of course, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Alhaji Dr. Mahamoud Bawumia. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader, distinguished, bold, courageous, selfless, you know what I mean. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is his name. Can we all rise? Choboy! This is the man. This is the man. Put your hands together once again and please be seated. At this stage, Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I invite the General Secretary of the party for a brief address to usher us in while we're here. Put your hands together for the General Secretary, Mr. John Boydu.
National Chairman of our great party, Honorable Freddie Blay, Your Excellency, Mr. President, and 2020 flag bearer of our party, Your Excellency, the Vice President, and our running mate for election 2020 and spouse, Ministers of State, and other government officials, our hard-working members of parliament, led by the majority leader, colleague national officers of our party, regional officers, constituencies and polling stations, reps of our external branches present here, our venerable chiefs, members of the clergy, members of the diplomatic corps are with us via Zoom, invited guests, the media, party sympathizers across the globe who have joined us through Zoom and other platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, I humbly bring you warm greetings from the National Secretariat of the party, and in particular the National Executive Committee of the party. It is an honor and great privilege to welcome you all to this significant event on behalf of the leadership of our great party. We are grateful to the Almighty God for bringing us safely to the beautiful ancient city of Cape Coast to undertake all this important exercise in the life of our party, government, and nation. We also welcome the millions who are watching this live program in the comfort of their homes in Ghana. And of course, our party who will have been here in Cape Coast, but for the pandemic, and have converged at our regional offices and are able to join us thanks to the wonders of Zoom technology. Today is a great day in the life of our party and country. It is the day that the Ghanaian people have been looking forward to. It is the day my government, your government, and our government, led by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is coming to not only account for its leadership of this great nation in the past 3.5 years, but to also tell us the new direction and indeed the many good things we will have expected in our national life for the next 4 years and beyond. So, ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of our gathering here is simple and straightforward. We are here to witness the launch of the 2020 manifesto of the governing New Patriotic Party. True to MPP tradition, this manifesto promises to be an embodiment of hope, progress, and prosperity for the Ghanaian people. We are here to witness, ladies and gentlemen, the unveiling of the documents that will see to the consolidation of the gains made in the unprecedented national digitization agenda of this government. The gains made in the provision of the value for money infrastructure for all, not just for the big cities. The gains made in one district, one factory. The gains made in the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative. The gains made in the eradication of the canker of unemployment through the Nation Builders Corps, the NEC, and the many YEA models, among other initiatives. The gains made in the stabilization of the Ghanaian economy. We are here to see the gains made in the restoration of training college allowances, the gains made in the restoration of teachers' training allowances, the gains made in Ghana's COVID fight, leading to the gradual return of normalcy, of which we are a toast of the whole world. The gains made in the successful implementation of the award-winning free SHS policy, which till date, ladies and gentlemen, is the biggest social intervention program in the nation's educational sector since independence. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to witness the unveiling of the documents that will give impetus to the socio-economic and structural transformation agenda of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the people's man and the visionary leader. More instructively, we are here to witness the unveiling of the documents that will, inshallah, see to the inevitable renewal of the mandate of Nana Addo Dankwa Bawumia-led government on the 7th December 2020 for additional 4 years to continue the very many things the government has started and continue to do for the people of this country. The launching of our manifesto today, in fact, marks a significant milestone in our journey to another resounding victory on 7th of December, as it signals the completion of our preparation for the 2020 electioneering campaign. As we speak, the New Patriotic Party is the only political party in Ghana that has been able to successfully organize parliamentary primaries to elect its parliamentary candidates in 274 constituencies in the country. Of course, we are also the first political party in the country to complete our 2020 presidential ticket, following the acclamation and unveiling of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and His Excellency Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia on June 27, 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to delivery on our manifesto promises, the Akufo-Addo government has no match. In just 3.5 years, we've been able to implement or are in the process of implementing all our flagship manifesto promises, notwithstanding the shattered economy we inherited from the John Mahama administration. So when it comes to the credibility of manifesto promises, the people of Ghana know that when we promise, we deliver. It is for this reason that there is an overwhelming show of interest in the exercise we are about to undertake today. We, more than any other political party, have the credibility of delivering on our